Hey everybody, Dave here. Hope you're having an awesome day. So, this week's build is probably one of my stranger builds that I've done, but it's super fun. Now, I have a buddy that gave me this vintage 1960s squirt gun, and I actually spray painted it gray so I could 3D scan it. Now, I have another friend who was like, hey, I could actually build that in CAD and then we could just 3D print it. And I thought, that might be cool so I can actually reproduce these if people think it's cool or fun. So I got this squirt gun and this vintage Burger King Quasimodo. And I think I want to do a little mashup with these things. And I think it's going to be pretty fun. So, hey, the two people that always thumbs down my videos, you're going to love this one. All right, let's do it. Okay, like I mentioned in the intro, here is that vintage squirt gun. Originally it was a translucent red, so kind of bummed that I spray painted, but that's all right. And then I've got this vintage Burger King Quasimodo. So I actually had three of these Quasimodos from yard sales. So I busted apart the arms and the legs. And then let me show you this is the 3D printed squirt gun that my buddy made. So he just rebuilt it in CAD and did an amazing job. So what I'm going to do is, in order to figure out the placement of the legs, and you can see there was a couple pencil marks on there already, but what I did was I just kind of figured out where I wanted the leg to be, where I wanted the arm to be, just visually placing it. One thing I took a little bit of a gamble on was if it would balance itself. I wasn't sure of the weight of it. So actually it turned out okay in the end, but you can see I just scored a little pencil line there. And then I took my calipers and I was trying to find the halfway point between the grip. Now, if you don't have a pair of calipers, I highly recommend a pair, especially if you're even a new builder. They're about $6 at Harbor Freight. I think you can get them online anywhere from $6 to $10. So you can see what I did was I was able to use my calipers and find kind of the perfect center point of those, and that worked out really nice. Now, time to get my snips out. These are another great little tool if you're a new builder. I got these at Target in their model kit section now, and I think they were $12, something like that. So snip these little guys off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and figure out how to attach them. I was originally thinking magnets, but the more I thought about it, I was like, wait a minute, I got this bin of Legos, and if I can get a peg long enough, that'll work pretty great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the diameter of the peg and then find a drill bit that fits that, and this drill bit's going to work really nice. So what I did was I'm going to drill a hole that I can put the peg into, connecting the leg to the gun. Now, I am being super delicate with this drilling because it is a 3D print and I don't want it to shatter. So slow and steady wins the race. I did a couple of test measurements. I had to go back in and drill it out a couple more times, but in the end, that worked out really nice. So then I'm going to do the same thing with the leg. I'm going to drill the same size hole. And one thing I had to be really careful was I didn't want to blast all the way through. And actually, on one of the arms, I did accidentally blast through, but fortunately I had a couple. I got really close there. It did poke through a little bit, but it turned out okay. So I'm just putting a little bit of CA glue here. And then I'm going to take this little Lego peg, push that in, and let that dry. Now, you'll see there's a little gap here, and I didn't really think about that ahead of time. So after I put the leg in, it fits great. It works really nice, but you can see there's this gap between the legs, and I really don't like that. So what I ended up doing was I thought, let me figure out the diameter of the outer ring that's essentially not letting it sit flush. And then I'm going to countersink it into the gun itself. Now, this is where it got dicey. My buddy told me this. He said, just drill it in one shot, because if you attempt to drill in a pre-made hole, it's going to catch and could give you some major problems. And so, yikes, that was that was close and not fun. What I ended up doing was I just took my Dremel and I opened up just the outer rim, and that worked a lot better. I think I'm going to try and think of a different way when I do the arms, but that is exactly what I was hoping for. Nice, tight fit. All right, so with the arms, my just regular model snips were not quite big enough, so I got my bigger snips out. And be careful, because those things will shoot clear across the room. So now I'm going to get my drill out again. I'm going to drill another hole. Again, it's the same diameter as the little Lego peg. And then once I've got that drilled, I forgot to record it, but I took a little bit bigger drill bit and countersunk this because it's a softer material. So you can see here the peg fits in really nice. And now I don't have to try and countersink into the gun itself. So now time for a quick little test fit. You can see I got my hole drilled out, got the peg glued in, and that looks great. Now I'm going to do the same to the other side. Everything was going totally smooth, but I don't know if you can see the light through the end of that arm. That is not a good thing. I drilled too far and it blew right through. So fortunately I have another set of arms here, but this one, for some reason, it had a chunk taken out of his arm. I do have my third set, but I don't really want to break him apart, so I need to figure out if I can actually sand this completely away. It's definitely going to be a little bit of work, but I think I can do it. Yeah, so we'll just sand, get out the wet sand and smooth that out, clean it up. And yeah, it was a little bit of work, but totally worth it. And I salvaged that arm so I don't have to destroy my one that's intact. Doing a quick little dry fit. That is looking really good. Now I'm looking at the gun and there are some 3D printing marks on it. I know some people it doesn't bother them. They're totally fine with it. But for me, I really had to get it looking as good as possible. So I went ahead and took the little bit of extra effort and sanded this little guy down. Taking extra care to get in all the little nooks and crannies, getting my wet sandpaper out and sanding that down. And here's where I'm at. I know it's not perfect, but I'm going to go ahead and prime it. That'll actually help fill in some of the gaps and also show me where else I need to sand. So I can see here there's a few more little gaps, so I'm going to go ahead and hit all that and clean it up, and it should be good to go. Now, when I am painting, using enamel paint on a soft plastic toy always stays really sticky, so I'm going to try this acrylic paint. Remember that arm that I blew a hole through? Well, that worked out for a nice little test print, and it's not sticky at all. So I want to do a fun color scheme on this. So I'm going to do the body teal, the arms pink, and the legs purple. And then I'm going to paint the boots teal again. And then I've got on the squirt gun these little parts I need to paint white. So let's get to that. So this is really nothing fancy here at all. It's just a little bit of delicate painting of these little pieces here. And then the boots, going to take a couple coats, but I think we need to assemble this thing and check it out. All right, that was a super fun build. And I think most of you know me well enough that I really enjoy building and I love making custom toys. But there are a handful of builds that I've done that like just crack me up. Like I really, they put a huge smile on my face, and this is 100% one of those builds. I mean, this was just so much fun, and I get it. It's totally bizarre. It's weird. Some people are like, what is happening inside of your head? And I don't actually know, but this one just brought me so much joy while I was building it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you go out there, make something awesome. If you got a weird idea in your head, go make it. It's awesome. It's fun. So let's do some turnaround shots of this thing. Hope you have an awesome day. And as always, it is a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a good one.